Hey guys, so first I just want to go over some of the things you may see in my video as far as guidelines to COVID and how our team personally handles a pandemic. So one thing we all do is wear a mask everywhere we go. We all committed to staying away from large gatherings, parties, things like that. Anytime we gather, it's within our own selves and we still all social distance and take precautions. We just made aware by the NCAA that basically if one of us get it and we all have to quarantine at this point. We're at that point where we practice every day, we're always together. And if one of us contracts the virus, we're all gonna have to quarantine whether we have a positive or a negative test. We've already shut down for a week because over the half of the team has had COVID since we've come back in August, and hopefully that won't happen again. So we'll just stay up. I'll keep you guys updated on that. As far as our precautions and procedures, every day we get a temperature check. Typically we get a wristband, but because this week is finals week, they've kind of been lax on that as far as getting wristbands, but we also still temp check before practice. You're not allowed in practice if your temperature is over the limit. Any symptoms that you're experiencing, we can't come into practice, we can't come into any buildings. We have to immediately tell our coach. And they also track where we've been and who we've been around, so they're able to kind of control that as well. As far as the university goes, the university rules kind of don't apply to us just because most of us attend class online remotely. Our coach in the beginning, he said, to try to stay away from class, but if we do have to go in class, that, obviously wear your mask. But as the cases have been spiking recently, he's just told us to remotely learn. And if we need anything else, if we need any exceptions, that we just talk to him directly about it. Pretty much all of us will be taking finals online unless it's required for us to be in class. I personally have been taking all of my classes remotely just because I'm trying to stay safe. I was sick at the beginning of the semester, but it wasn't COVID. And so that kind of strayed me away from obviously being in class and just being around too many people. I'm typically only around my teammates. I've been home once or twice since the semester has started, but other than that, I've not been home. I haven't been to parties. I haven't done any of that, just in fear of catching the virus and possibly spreading it to the rest of my team. I think that's the biggest difference right now between regular students or everyday people that walk around versus athletes, to where we're around each other every day, whether we're lifting or shooting before practice or working out and stuff like that. We're around each other every day, so eventually, like, if one of us gets it, everybody's gonna get it. So that's one of the things that we kind of have to be aware of as athletes. So yeah. All right, right now I'm headed to practice, so I'll see y'all when I get there. Okay, so how has coaching during a pandemic been?
It's definitely been different. I think the girls have done a really good job responding and stuff. Different challenges and just different scenarios. Like, we temp check every day. We do symptom checks every day. When we're in practice, we got to make sure they're staying socially distanced on the sideline. And then just really making sure the girls are mentally healthy. We don't want them, getting down during the pandemic, and we just have to check on them and make sure they're doing good themselves.
Okay, how has it been coaching in a pandemic?
It has been challenging, though yet giving us experiences on how to maybe alter what we do as a program, alter what we do as a team for practices, how to go about preparing our players. So it's been a challenge, but it's been a challenge in a positive way of making us look at things in maybe more of a creative manner, maybe more in a manner of, how we can keep the players motivated, and what are some different aspects and things that we can incorporate.
And have you noticed any advantages as being in a pandemic?
I think it kind of would go back to the advantages is that we've been able to spend more time as a team. We've been able to spend more time as a team getting better. We've been able to spend more time really kind of just focusing in on our player development and our skill development, but also not having to move at such a pace to where we can really spend some time and attention on what we want to do from an offensive, defensive standpoint, but also includes giving us some different things that we can do as a team and just grow as a team off the court.
Okay, so can you talk about the requirements for other teams and your responsibilities when they come to the gym, to our gym?
So originally last year, it was my responsibility to make sure I sent out a nice email saying, hey, here's a welcome letter, here are our facilities and the things that we offer. And now with COVID and the pandemic, it's a little bit harder because you have to add COVID testing sites, making sure people follow the ASC conference guidelines, and doing temperature checks, temperature screenings. And now they're making sure that everyone gets tested for a conference opponent at least once per week. So you have to go 72 hours before your actual start time or your game time to play, and everyone has to be negative.
Okay, so how has COVID been being a student athlete at UMHB?
It's been pretty tough to deal with because, you got to go through all the little protocols all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't really go out, can't really do nothing.
Right.
But all in all, man, it's not nothing you can't endure.
Yeah. So do you feel like you've been distanced from the rest of the student body?
Yeah, really. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't, especially because football, can't go to games, can't do a lot of stuff like that, so you can't really associate with a bunch of people. You just got to, so I'm a basketball player, so I'm really just around the basketball team really all day, so.
Okay, so where are you from?
I'm from Lehman.
Okay, so what has been the biggest difference between being in a pandemic at home versus being here at school?
I'm gonna have to say the fact that America didn't go on a lockdown. Back home, we were in a lockdown for about 2 months. No one was allowed to work. Only the essential workers. None of the children could go to school, so they were homeschooled for a little bit. But yeah, that's the main difference. After those 2 months, we were all back to normal. Everybody was able to go back to work, and yeah.
You ready? Okay, so where are you from?
I'm from Highlands Ranch, Colorado.
But where were you during the summer?
So I was in Navarre, Florida. It's in the Panhandle.
Okay, so what has been the biggest difference between being in Florida during the summer versus coming back as a student athlete?
So Florida was actually one of the only states that didn't have really mandatory masks, and they weren't shut down the whole time. So I was actually just having a good time living my full summer in Florida. We were on the beach every day, even for the 4th of July. We had hundreds of people on the beach, went to restaurants, had a good time. And then when I got back here, it was actually a huge switch up. Ended up having to wear masks all the time. Haven't really been able to go out. They just started kind of opening up, now shutting down again. Spent a lot of time in my apartment now and kind of been a little isolated. And basketball's been a little different. So it's definitely been a huge switch. It's definitely, I'm an energetic person, so it's definitely something that I'm not used to.